Hello, and welcome to Bring On the Medicine, a holistic healer summit. My name is Janae Robinson. I am the owner of Janae's Essentials in Burley, Idaho. I am a life coach, a yoga therapist, and the host of this summit. I am here with Arika, and when we talked about Arika's introduction today, we had decided that I would read part of her story. So the words that I am speaking next are her story, and then we will get into this interview and ask her some questions about what she's doing in the world. And just, it's going to be really beautiful. So these are Arika's words. I've walked through the darkest of valleys: domestic abuse, sexual trauma, addiction, codependency. Years of therapy kept me spinning in circles, diving deeper into my own abyss. By 2020, I was done. Not just tired, done. They told me PTSD was my life sentence, that medication would numb enough of me to make it bearable. I gave myself 6 months to live. That was my timeline. Find another way out of this darkness or end it all. Synchronistically, a random Instagram post about plant medicine appeared, and I found myself in Mexico, a psychedelic retreat in Mexico. One night of medicine work did what years of therapy couldn't. It made me face my biggest abuser, myself. The medicine lifted my PTSD like a veil being torn away, forced me to see my truth, my own reflection. That's when I discovered something revolutionary. Forgiveness isn't a thought, it's a feeling. And every wound I carried wasn't about them. It was about my own worth. Now, I'm living in dimensions I never knew existed. My consciousness has expanded beyond the narrow prison of trauma into vast realms of possibility. Each breath is an exploration of what's possible when we dare to wake up fully. Each moment is an opportunity to experience life at depths I never knew were available to me. I'm not just healing, I'm ascending, breaking through the limitations of who I thought I was, creating ripples that will transform generations. This isn't about surviving anymore. This is about expanding into the infinite potential of what is possible when we dare to die to our old selves. So I want to welcome Arika. Hello.
Hi, thank you for reading that. It's really, you got to fight back some tears a little bit to contain myself for this, because to hear somebody read that, it goes there. To write it and to be a part of that process and knowing it, but to hear somebody read that makes me want to sit in front of myself even more.
Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Isn't that beautiful? And we, because we're in the story, we think the story, we've lived the story. But if we heard that about someone else, like, whoa, but that's kind of what's happening. It's like, wait, that's me. That's me.
That's my story. But to hear, I've never had somebody tell me a gist of my story. I've never been able to hear that. And my goodness, just hearing that, I'm like, you go, girl. That's me. I want to keep going, and I want to keep sitting in front of my mirror, because this is amazing work. This life.
Yeah, life is the work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I see you as, when I read this was from an Instagram post that you had posted. And I read this, and it was very touching to me as well. It was like, wow, I didn't know all of those things either. And so it was like, oh my gosh, there are such depths to people. We are faceted. And it got me thinking, what was it that even got you into therapy? What was it that that shook you up enough? Because you're saying we're dying to our old selves. So there was something that you wanted to get past, something that you wanted to change.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What was that awakening process?
Yeah. So therapy, what got me into it, I had been in it for many, many years. I was in a very unhealthy marriage, and we were trying to do therapy to gain a better marriage, to gain better insight, better healing patterns. Unfortunately, we weren't given the tools that was working. Not to blame anybody. It's just therapy allowed, and I'm going to use this word because it's very prevalent to how I explain things. Therapy taught me how to sit in my own shit. Plant medicine taught me how to Elsa that shit.
Yeah.
And let it go.
Yeah.
So even after my divorce, even after losing my mother, which was another reason why I was in therapy, it just continued to compound, and I was getting worse, even though I was spending 2 days a week in therapy.
And so you got to this point where you were saying that you were going to give yourself 6 months.
Yeah.
To me, that makes me swallow hard. And it makes me stop.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about our inner self, our inner wisdom, right? And so I feel like that Instagram post was like, there was this call for help, right? I'm giving myself this timeline. I've got 6 months to figure it out. And then the way that you say it, just randomly, which we know that random things don't happen. At least that's what I believe. I don't believe that it's random. And so I want to hear about the curiosity that post gave you. Like all of a sudden it's like, huh, what's this? I want to hear your words. What?
Okay, I see what you were saying. I didn't know what you meant by the Instagram post at first. Okay, so needless to say, I had decided that I was done, and I was giving myself 6 months to live. I walked into my therapist and I said, I'm done. I can no longer live with these triggers. I cannot continue to do this, but I'm willing to do anything within the 6 months. Anything. What else can we do? And I had tried different modalities, and it was just getting worse. And she just says, Arika, I need you to go into your doctor and I need you to get on meds. Well, that was my number one. I will not get on meds. I wanted to get through it with my own power. I wanted to learn whatever I was meant to learn with my own medicine, because I knew that was possible. I just needed the tools for it. And I said, all right, well, unfortunately, we're done working with each other as well, but I've got 6 months. And I was very confident and calm about it. It was just, I had surrendered. That's kind of a key word here, right? I had surrendered into, I'm okay with that. In 6 months, we never know when we're going to die anyways. Maybe it'll be before that. So I go into my car after leaving the therapist's office, and I'm doing my mindless scroll of Instagram before I pull out of the parking lot. And this Instagram post with Meet Delic comes right into my feed. And I'm like, well, what is this? And it's talking about psychedelics and how all of these doctors and psychologists are gathering in a convention in LA talking about these psychedelics that have transformed PTSD, which is what I had been diagnosed with, anxiety, depression, everything that I was going through. It named it. And I thought, well, this is a great way to learn about this, but what even is a psychedelic? I didn't even know at that time what fell under a psychedelic. And as I continued to read this, psychedelics are psilocybin, also known as mushrooms, ayahuasca, MDMA, LSD, and I'm like, this is drugs. This is drugs. I can't believe people are even considering doing drugs to get through it. But my heart lit up in that instant. It was my yes. That intuition was like, yes, my logical mind kicks in. It was like, that's a drug. Don't even consider this. So they were battling with each other. And the more of the rabbit hole that I went into, it was yes, yes, yes. It felt right. So I sign up for Meet Delic. It gets canceled. COVID kicks in. I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Countries are shutting down. States are shutting down. I find a retreat in Mexico. I choose to start with psilocybin. It was between ayahuasca and psilocybin. And I chose psilocybin because why would anybody go puke? That's what you do in ayahuasca. Why would anybody even, like, that is the most ridiculous thing. Why would I go somewhere where I could possibly puke? So I found myself there, and it was just this Instagram post where it connected with me. My heart lit up. It was a full yes, but I arrived to that retreat center so scared because in my mind still, I'm arriving to do drugs. And I have children. And I'm going through a really bad divorce. And what if the judge finds out? I mean, the rabbit hole of all of this stuff. And then I do the medicine, which I will not call drugs.
Yeah. And before we get into that, I wanted to, I kind of want to get this question in here as well, because it is controversial. These plant medicine is controversial in the States, maybe not everywhere. And what do you want people to understand about it? And maybe that is about what it has done for you, or maybe it's a different direction. I'm not sure where you want to take this question, but what is it that you most want people to understand about what actually happens in using this form of medicine?
Yeah, I'm actually going to flip this on you and ask, what do you feel is controversial about it? So maybe I can answer this question a little bit more. Because for me, it was just believing that it was a drug.
Right.
That's the story that I went into. So as far as anybody else's perception on this controversy, I'm interested to know like where you stand with the controversy in it and what comes up for you. And then I would be happy to share what I want others to know about it.
Sure. Well, as far as the legality of it, it's not legal in the US to do ayahuasca. I think there's one place that it is legal in Florida, and I'm not sure if it still is legal there, but they've defined themselves under a church. And so they've been able to do the ayahuasca under the church. Sure. And that's how I first learned about it, was a documentary on ayahuasca. And so even with the psilocybin, there are laws restricting the use of it. I mean, there were hippies. I can't name who it is, but I've got family members that would go out into the woods in Colorado and pick mushrooms, right? And so, but what I'm understanding with what you're doing, this is a retreat center. There are, you're not just a bunch of people taking drugs together and seeing what happens. Like, you have guides, there are people that are supporting you. There's things that you do pre and post as well, preparing your body for like certain dietary restrictions. Am I correct on that? Or
yeah, so the controversy for what you're saying, yes, it's surrounding us. There's many people that are working underground. So you use the Florida site as an example. There's actually many other places within the states that are hosting psilocybin or ayahuasca retreats that are legal. I only work with legal. I don't work underground whatsoever. Hence why I always leave the country when I choose to do plant medicine, whether it be Mexico, Guatemala, Costa Rica. I always fall within a legal guideline. However, the team that I'm paired up with in Guatemala, they also are formed under an alliance that allows them to come within the states legally. And so what's important for people to know, in my opinion, is this medicine is for everybody, but it's not for everybody. You really need to do your research and make sure that you're going to a safe place, and the guided people guiding you, not meaning they're interjecting during your personal ceremony, but having people there to facilitate, to hold space during the process is very, very important. I do not recommend anybody to use plant medicine solo. I don't advocate for that. I don't advocate for plant medicine to be used recreational. This is strictly medicine for me. And it's my therapy, where when I partake in this medicine, I'm going in to find my own medicine within myself. And that's what it wakes me into, is to removing anything that's standing in my way that I'm holding on to. It takes that finger, if I'm pointing it at somebody else, and it points it back into me. And it shows me who I am and how much I can create and how amazing I am and how amazing this world is and what we're here to do. So that's very, very important to know, that while it is for everybody, not everybody can handle the work behind that. And certain medications, if people are on medications, that can be very, it could be fatal, and it could be a counteractive into the medicine. So knowing what you're getting yourself into, working with retreat centers or people like me that's a psychedelic practitioner, knowing what medications can and cannot be mixed with medicine is super important. Not buying it off of the underground, really taking it serious. No different than if you were to go to a doctor and get a prescription. That in itself is the most important. I'm not concerned about the fact that it's illegal in the USA. Sure, just wait. It won't be for long.
Yeah, there are, I've done,
It's already starting. The
yeah,
movement's already quite big. So
yeah, there was some research going on in Washington that I read about, and just the science behind it. They're really looking at the science behind it. And I think that that's important. I feel when we have a culture that is science-based or woo-woo based, right? Because we can have a pendulum on both sides. And
Sure.
and so we can have an opinion about anything, but what is it really, right? And that's one of the reasons why I wanted you to answer that question, is what is actually going on in that world, because most of your typical people don't know. They don't know what's going on in that world.
Yeah. And I feel like a term that we use in this field that you'll hear a lot of people saying is, I feel like I've been called to this. I was called to it when my heart lit up, and it was a yes, even though my logic tried to tell me no. I feel like if that answer is a yes within you, you can still be nervous. You can still be scared. But if that is a yes, there's your calling. This isn't something that I can sell you and say, oh my gosh, you should go do plant medicine. Do I think that you should? Sure. But you have to really know that this is a path that you want to take, not because other people have decided to do it and I guess I'll give it a try, but you don't really feel anything, a calling towards it. You're just like, whatever. Either way, you're going to learn something. But to take that really serious is such a beautiful knowing within yourself and making sure that it's a safe place.
Yeah. And I feel like any sort of therapy, we do it to feel better, but sometimes we don't feel better because we've got to do the work through the process, right? We have to do the integration. We have to answer the questions. We have to look at ourselves, and I'll use your word, take that accountability within ourselves to create the change that we need. And so I would love to hear, through your experiences with plant medicine, the things that you learned that started opening up on your path. What was it that you were learning about yourself? What was it that you needed to take accountability for? What was it that you needed to let go of? And where did it take you on your path?
Yeah. I mean, this could be this could be a talk for hours. So the first thing that I'll start with is one night of plant medicine is like 10 years of therapy. So when I say this, we could go on and on and on and on and on, but I'll tell you the basis of what plant medicine has been for me. And if I were to package it all together, all my experiences is in one big bow. The first thing is that I learned how to feel for me without saying the words forgiveness, anxiety, attaching to these labels of words that truly at the end of the day, I didn't even know how they felt within my body, but I could use the words like they were flying out of my mouth. No problem. It connected me to what anxiety felt and the why behind it. It showed me how much I was holding myself back. The medicine showed me what forgiveness felt like for me. I had sat in church every Sunday as a little girl, forgiving thy neighbor, forgiving thy neighbor. Okay, yeah, I forgive them. I forgive them. Oh no, I just held on to every single little thing. That's what I learned how to do while saying I had forgiven. I learned how to know within my body, within the somatics of my body, what happiness felt like, forgiveness felt like. I learned how to cry because I had held on to, I got to show that I'm tough. I learned how to cry. I learned how to feel. That was the biggest thing. I can't feel the same way that you feel, Janae. We're going to feel love different. We are going to feel joy different. We're going to feel anxiety different. But in society, we package it up and we all must feel the same. When most people, if you say, well, what does anxiety bring you? What is that feeling? We can't identify the feeling behind it. So that's the biggest thing, if I were to wrap it in a bow, is it allows me to understand my feelings and to be okay with them. And to see what's holding me back in those feelings and what I can push forward with my feelings and make myself evolve and create, and to step more into my life, step into who I am. It doesn't matter what's going on outside of me. I'm not responsible for anybody else. Yes, I have children. I'm responsible for them. But whatever I feel and whatever I'm putting out there is what my kids will receive as well. They listen to everything. They watch us. If we're holding something in, they're learning to hold it in. And so it gives us the gift of how to do everything in a softer way and allowing other people to be in their process without making it about ourselves. It's so easy to look at everybody else and judge. That's judgment of ourselves. Plant medicine has gotten me on my path and only my path. What other people say doesn't matter. What other people do, even if it's about me, it doesn't matter. So the next thing that I would say that it has taught me, nothing anybody says or does is about you. Nothing until you accept it. Nobody can make you feel any way unless you allow it. And that is your mirror the second you're affected. And I had worn stickers and labels and words and stories that people had said about me, and they were running my life instead of me running myself. And I got to purge every sticker around and stand in my power and see who I am when I didn't even know who I was, because I was so busy allowing the energy of these stickers, even if they weren't saying it directly to me. Energy works that way. We should be gifting every single person with beautiful words, encouragement, growth. That's how energy works. That's how we change the world around us. So I've been taught.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm thinking is when we are able to start applying medicine, whatever type of medicine that is within ourselves, it is what changes the world. When we can evolve ourselves, when we can see what works and what doesn't work, what we're holding on to, that's what changes society. That's what makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
And it does. It's like Michael Jackson, the man in the mirror, right? That's what it is. We have to look in that mirror, and
Yeah.
and there's many things that are in the mirror. There's many things in the mirror. And so I wanted to ask.
There's beautiful things in the mirror as well. People get caught up in the negative mirror,
Yes.
right? There's so many beautiful things in the mirror as well. And I before we move on, something that I wanted to share that the medicine has also taught me in a broad scope. Number one is love, of course. But more importantly, how to love myself, because when we can't love ourselves and accept ourselves, we can't love anyone around us to that potential. But what it taught me through all of this, when I was talking about the stickers and the labels and what we allow to consume us based off of everybody else, is the fact that the medicine took me and put me in my own life to remove layers. And so the saying that I like to use with that, the more layers we put on, the farther from the soul we become. And it really went into those depths of that saying that I love. So when I think of the Arika before, which is who I was and whatnot, I was spending so much time on things that didn't matter, that truly didn't matter. My lashes, I had breast implants, I had Botox, I had, you name it, all these layers that I was taking time for. And when it said, let's step into who you are, one by one, the lashes came off, the makeup got cleaned off. Doesn't mean that it's wrong to wear makeup. That's not what I'm saying. It was teaching me something to let's step into yourself for a little bit, your natural self of who you are. And then before long, I was getting my breast implants out. And I'm stepping into who I am. And it is much calmer, because layers upon layers upon layers and keeping ourselves busy, we don't feel like we have enough time. When you remove a lot of those layers, I find myself going, okay, I have a lot of time, even as a mother, a wife, myself. I look around, I'm like, what do I do with all this time?
Right. Those things can distract us, can't they? They can keep us away from looking at the truth, from and oftentimes I don't think that we really even think about it at the time. We don't think about what it is that we are covering. We don't think about it as what we're hiding behind. We don't think about what it is that we've numbed in our life. There's a lot of expectation there as well. We have to look this certain way and everybody's doing it, and blah, 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 blah. And what I'm hearing is this journey to self-acceptance, this journey to get to know who you really are, like what you care about, not all those stickers that you had on, but what does Arika really value? What does Arika really care about? And you were talking about your wounds in your introduction, and it was about your worth. It was about your Arika's worth. And am I hearing that right?
It's 100% about my worth, and it, yeah, absolutely.
And so I want to know, like, what detailed insights have you learned about your worth? Are you able to articulate that today?
My worth is everything. There's not a whole lot of description to go into it other than my worth is worth a lot. And that's what I had to find because she was lost. My worth is everything. So to hear you tell my story and the fact that I can think about it logically, that yeah, I was suicidal. But to hear somebody say that, why would you think that? Especially because of where I'm at and I have my worth and I have my direction and I had to discover who I was all on my own. I didn't know how to feel anything. I could label. I could be diagnosed with PTSD. I could be diagnosed as a domestic abused victim. No wonder why I was getting worse. We're not meant to be there. We're not meant to be labeled. That's the point behind that label that I use. We're so much more than a diagnosis. It's a trap. I don't have PTSD. I am not a domestic abused victim. And I carried that and I was getting worse until I did plant medicine and realized, oh, that's what's making me sick. My body, my somatics of my body was trying to say, no, 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 no. When I was suicidal, I can relate with so many people and I've been able to help so many people in this because I get it. I understand that when you feel like you're done, it's not physically, hey, you should go end your life. It's your body saying, I'm done with these thoughts. Will you please get rid of me? And I could not have learned that without plant medicine. I could not have learned that I am not PTSD. I could not have learned that I'm not a domestic abused victim. I could not have learned I'm addicted to chaos without plant medicine. I am Arika. And I am love and I am worth everything.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. There's value. You know, we walk,
every single person.
we don't recognize our own value. We're just who we are. So sometimes we don't think we're special. Sometimes we're told that we're not special, that we're just ordinary.
We are.
Should be okay with just being ordinary. There's all kinds of messages that we buy into, and so
not buying into it.
Our worth, yeah, I feel like those are huge things in resolving those feelings that we have. And I agree with you. Our body is signaling us all the time.
All the time.
All the time. And so even our anxiety, even our depression, even our urges, if we just stop and feel, when do I feel the urge to move forward, right? When do I feel the urge to get up and do something or rescue someone or whatever negative thing it is? When do I have the urge for that alcoholic beverage? Or when do I have the urge for whatever it is, right? It doesn't matter. But if we're not able to look into ourselves and recognize what those signals are, because oftentimes those stickers that we're wearing, it blinds us to, it puts us in a victim mentality, right?
Yeah. Victim is a trap. The victim is a trap. And, you know, allowing myself to just be in the stillness without this go, 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 go mentality that we're surrounded by. Breaking away from those layers has been so fun and transformative to be able to just sit with myself. When I am feeling that rush within my body, it's telling me something that I probably shouldn't be listening to. So if I allow myself to sit, your body communicates everything with you.
And that can be that can be a scary place.
If that's the way you choose to look at it, sure.
Sure.
We are our own medicine. That's what God gave us.
And maybe I should say it could start out as a scary place, right? When all of a sudden we are hearing those things, we do need to do something different, but we don't know where to go. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to do this summit, was because I know all of these people that have these incredible journeys. They've been investing into working on themselves, to bringing others into a higher place of that worth, of seeing who they are worth. And I like what you said, is that we're called to those things. For us to start listening to, what is it that I'm being called to? What is it that's going to work for me? What is going to get me out of sitting in the shit? Right? That's not where we want to be. We don't want to be sitting in it. We want
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to get you out of sitting in your shit to Elsa that shit is you. However, it is really challenging to understand that at a logical level. If you don't know how and you don't have the tools to feel it, if you find yourself stuck in the label of a word, you're stuck. You don't understand how to feel. You have to trace the word anxiety down to the root. So if you're capping yourself at the word anxiety, you're stuck. You're sitting in your shit.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and you talked about your children, that you have children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did want to ask, what are the spiritual traditions? What are the traditions that you're passing on to your children? How are you nourishing them in their growth to adulthood, maybe differently than how you were nourished?
Letting them discover their path. Not telling them no. There's no such thing as mistake. You're going to learn something from it no matter what. Allow yourself to be who you are. Don't listen to anybody else. What anybody says or does is not about you. Until you've taken it personal, now there's your work. That's where it's at. And just loving them in such a calm way. My anger, I was so angry inside of myself that I would put that out in my children before plant medicine because I didn't even know what it was. And to know that if I'm starting to feel anger, because I know what that feels like within my body long before it wants to come out, I can go sit with myself and it's always mine. It has nothing to do with anybody else. Once again, nothing anybody says or does is about you. Sometimes they just say something that triggers that emotion. And so just really encouraging my children to never give up on themselves and to do whatever the heck they want to do. And don't worry about anybody else. Because no matter what, even if it doesn't work out when they think they want to do something, it's going to get you somewhere. You have to do it through trial and error, and that's a gift. That's not a curse. There's no such thing as failure. There's always a gift in what you may call failure. There's no right, and there's no such thing as wrong. And that goes for other people. They are not right, and they are not wrong. You let them be for who they are, which allows you to be who you are.
It's a beautiful reframing, isn't it, of our societal views on things, and the little boxes that we have put other people in or ourselves in, and our children especially. I think that as a mother, there are fears, and I've heard you speak about fear and love. There's only two, fear and love.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be. And so when that anger bubbles up, what's that fear, right? What is it triggering in you? And where can that love step in and meet the child, meet yourself where you're at?
Love is letting go of fear, and fear is letting go of love. So if I have two Legos, one is love, one is fear. Is my empire, my self-empire, and my city growing on love? Or is my fear stack bigger on this side? We need to make sure that love is always bigger than our fear, because we're made to create. We're made to serve people.
Beautiful.
And we're only made for unconditional love. That's it. So this love stack should be way bigger than the fear stack, because we weren't meant to have fear ingested within us. Fear is our alert system. That's all it was made for.
Yeah.
So
So
when you get the feeling.
Yeah, I see us alerting ourselves from those stickers, right? Oh, I'm
Yeah.
afraid I'm going to get this sticker put on me. If I show up this way, I'm going to get that sticker put on me. And then if I take my lashes off, I'm going to get this sticker put on me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
all,
people may not even be saying it. There could be
They don't.
people that are saying, oh my gosh. And there could be people that are saying, oh my gosh. And people that are, and we listen to the negative ones over anything. There you go. There's your
Right.
mirror.
Yeah.
There's your mirror. Which one do you want to listen to? It doesn't matter what anybody thinks or says. It doesn't matter. How do you feel?
Yes, it's here. Do I
Yeah.
want the lashes or do I not want the lashes? Do I
We
want
get
what
right.
do I want?
We get so used to, but what are they going to think? What are they going to say? It doesn't matter. And I'm telling you, it took me time of plant medicine and integration to really understand that it really doesn't matter what anybody else is doing in their lives. It doesn't matter what they say. It's their own reflection.
Yeah.
Make it about yourself. We have been taught to think for everybody else. Yeah, we have to care for our children. What a beautiful blessing that is. However, always make everything about yourself and what you want. That's not selfish. It's no different than being on an airplane and putting your oxygen mask on first, right? We're taught to do that. We should do that every day, because that's how we give to the world. That's how the world starts changing. When our tank is full, we can give so much unconditional love to others. When our tank is empty and you can feel that, stay right where you're at. Stay within yourself and listen to what that is in the stillness.
I heard recently that that courage is the virtue that we should be most focused on, because without courage, we can't step into any of the other virtues. It's hard to step into love without courage. It's hard to step into kindness without courage. And so I kind of wanted to ask you about that. Do you value courage? Do you feel that what got you into the plant medicine and moving through the looking at yourself, removing all the stickers takes courage?
It's just a word.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Courage, what is courage? What is courage to you? And then I can answer that, because courage to me it's just a word. It just took me to go and do it. And if that makes me courageous, absolutely. If that's the word that we will use, I'm courageous. It did take a lot for me to step into that direction when nobody else was doing it in this area. And I got labeled for doing it. And to stand tall and stand strong, if that's what courageous is, yes, it takes a lot of courage.
And so I guess I would say that that just falls under the category of love for you, because there's love and fear, right? I mean, those are words too.
It's love or fear, right? And we can build many words above love, and we can build many words above fear. So I'll take it. I'm courageous. I'm brave. I'm adventurous. Sure. I love that.
And then I also wanted to know, you have traveled many, many places around the world. And I know, like, what's been your favorite travel memory so far?
With plant medicine, is that what we're referring to?
Any travel memory. I just know that you've traveled a lot. You've been to a lot of different places, and these are different cultures. These are different, I can only imagine going somewhere thinking, wow, we need more of this. I need more of this in my life, or even there are places that are just openly beautiful. They're not congested with cities and large homes with 12 bedrooms,
Right.
have you. So, but it can be any memory at all. I mean, it could be any travel memory at all.
Sure. I would say when I lived in Egypt, that was definitely my most favorite time of travel and in my life, and where I learned so much about who I was at a younger age and how good we have everything. The culture of Egypt is absolutely amazing. It's just spectacular. And I lived right by the pyramids, and I'm actually planning a trip with some girlfriends to go back to Egypt. So I'm really looking forward to that at an adult lens now, because I think I was only like 16, maybe 17 when I was living there. Um, and then aside from that, Guatemala. Yeah, Guatemala is pretty special.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it's very sacred where I was. I was at Lake Atitlan, and so the volcano is your backdrop the whole entire time that you're there. And then you have the beautiful lake all around, and you still have the traditional Mayan people that are living there and speaking the Mayan language. So for me, that was really beautiful to experience, and it's definitely been my most favorite place, and where I host a majority of my retreats is in the Guatemala space.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. And then I also wanted to ask you about journaling, because I know we had had some conversations about journaling. Do you still journal?
I
What
do.
what did you find? Because I know that you had some huge breakthroughs through your journaling. And
Yeah.
so can you share a little bit about that?
Journaling for me is planting seeds. It's almost the manifestation that everybody talks about. That's what journaling means to me. I love it for the fact that I don't do it enough, but I still do it. And when I take the time to really sit down and journal, it's amazing what comes out. In fact, recently my husband's like, I need to start journaling, but I don't even know what I'm going to journal about. I said, just sit down and start writing, and you will see the explosion that will come from the second that pen hits the paper. And he's like, this is insane once he started. It's this, again, we are the medicine. So it's interesting when we go to that pen and paper, pencil and paper, whatever you want, what our bodies, our medicine is communicating to us on that paper. And as that goes, you get into what you're creating, what you're desiring, what you're dreaming about. It's not a dream. It can be reality. You can only think of what you are in this moment, and it's not a dream.
That needs to be said again. You can only think about what it is that you are in this moment.
Yeah, you can only, whatever you're thinking, you are capable of doing. That's who you are. It's not something that you watch in a movie. If you're able to think it, you're able to create that. I don't care if it's fairy tale. If you want to be Tinkerbell, you just go buy a costume, and that's where it's at. You can be Tinkerbell. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Or you can create, if it wasn't there in what you're thinking and feeling within yourself, it's possible. And I got to learn that. The medicine showed me wherever you're at in your process, it's reality. It can be done. It may take time. It's not going to be like, oh, instant manifestation. I want this. No. Slowing down, allowing that intuition, not putting all these layers on, not speeding it up, because if it's meant for you, it's going to be there because you're already there in your mind. And if we slow down, it gets better. We learn more versus trying to speed up a process, and then we give up because we're exhausted. That's manifestation to me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that for sure. Yeah, and I think when we can look at the layers that really don't mean anything, the layers that really aren't bringing us joy or whatever it is that we're looking for in our life,
Yeah.
and have the courage or the love to let those go and truly start to create depth in what it is that we do want in our life, because we can all spread ourselves thin, like we all know how to do that, but actually
Yeah.
creating that
Too
depth.
well.
Yes. Yeah. And you are a plant, is it called a plant medicine practitioner, or what did you call yourself?
I'm a psychedelic
A
practitioner.
psychedelic practitioner. But you
And
are
a death doula.
yes, you are also a death doula. And that is a
Yeah.
term that I have heard of doulas for pregnant
Yeah.
women for birth,
Yeah.
but never heard of a doula for death. And I don't want to just skim by that. I really think that we need to have things at the end of our lives. There's a lot that life does slow down at the end of our life if we are not taken quickly, right? If
Yeah.
we've had a diagnosis and all of a sudden we're like, okay, this is where I'm at. I have a feeling that life kind of slows down a little bit for us to really get reflective. So, what does a death doula do?
Well, that depends on the kind of death doula. I had to develop
Oh,
my own. Yeah. So
okay.
I had to understand what death doula meant to me. So the program that I went through was absolutely amazing. And what you're being taught is to be a death doula for people that are terminally ill that are about to cross over, and how you can introduce a psychedelic into this terminally ill person's process if they're holding on too much or they're afraid of something. And of course, if they want it, it's not like you're just administering it just for the heck of it. They need to have the ability to say yes and understand their why. And so that was what my training was about. Yeah, I knew within myself, I did not personally want to work with terminally ill people and psychedelics. I knew that very early into this program. And so I was talking with my mentor and I'm like, I know this isn't what I'm going to do. And she goes, so what is a death doula to you? And so I sat there and I processed it and continued to go through this program and learn that, oh, it's what I've been doing this whole time. It's exactly when I chose to give up, I chose death of where I was. That is death. That surrender is death. So, a little side note, if somebody comes to me and says, hey, Arika, what's the best thing that could happen to me in plant medicine? My response is, you die. Not physically. You are putting death to things that no longer serve you. Any feelings that are holding you back, everything that we've been discussing in this, that's what a death doula is to me. So when I'm working with somebody, I'm getting them into their story and teaching them and letting them see if they flip the script and put that old story, burn it, put it to death, whatever we want to label it as, that's where life is. It's not about getting to 80 years old or 90 years old. That's not what a death doula is to me. It's about starting the process now. When do you want to put death to things that are holding you back? When do you want to flip that script? So, as I was able to trace my journey and realize that's exactly what I did, I went to plant medicine and I died over and over and over and let go of all these stories. And I had multiple ego deaths, which is very common in plant medicine. I didn't understand it before until I actually went through it. And so for me being a death doula, again, it's flipping the script on people. But my most favorite to work with are baby boomers. They're so afraid to die. Death needs rebranded. Baby boomers have all these generational stories that they have, and they're carrying them on their backpack, and they've got their wheel and their trust, and they're going to leave it to their kids, and they're not even living their life. And they're so afraid to die that they just sit there. Baby boomers especially are a part of this movement that death needs rebranded. So working with them to step into their life and let all of that go is what I do with the death doula, baby boomers and before. Those are the ages that I work with. Not to prepare you for your physical death. It's right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of resistance I find in the silent generation, the baby boomers, because number one, they didn't have the technology that we have or access to the information that we have access to information, you know, on our phone. They didn't even have a phone. It was on the wall.
They're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how old they were, it was a party line and whatever. So, and then also there was so much shame that was woven into the child rearing at that time as well. That, you know, there was a lot, they are carrying a lot. And actually I find that to be very beautiful because I'm married to a baby boomer. Mark is a baby boomer. And, and I can see so much resistance in so many areas of his life. And I feel like I'm a breath of fresh air compared to him, but I have a lot of resistance too. That's what I'm working on with myself. So I think that is incredible. We do have—
It all comes down to the story.
Yes.
That's all it comes down to.
Yes.
Everything in life comes to the story. Where are you spending most of your story?
Yeah. And how tight are we going to grip onto that story?
And pay attention to your hands. With that being said, Janae, let it go. You will find yourself, if you just pay attention to your hands throughout the day, if you take a week to just focus on your hands, we won't even talk about the face.
Yeah.
We'll just start with your hands. Pay attention to that. I don't care if they're here. I don't care if they're here. We're holding on to something. So what is it? What if you just received and let things go?
There's a beautiful painting, and it is someone holding the flowers and an empty hand, and they're so close you don't know who is the giver and who is the receiver, right? Because our hands are about giving and receiving, and if they're closed, we can't give or receive. And when we do those exercises of holding our hands tight and then allowing them to release, it can take work to open them. It's real easy to hold tight
and to remain open.
Oh, and yes, and to remain open. And then when we have that open hand, we don't know if the person is giving or receiving. We don't know. And to me, that is love.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, does it? That
the will of consent.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And connection. That is the connection that because they're both there.
Yeah.
And so,
and as you do this and become comfortable with it, the breath automatically plays a role in it as well. Because if we're here, our breath is more shallow and sped up. When we let go and we release and we receive, our breath flows through as well.
Yeah.
We're allowed to take those deep breaths.
Yeah, it's like,
again, our body is our medicine. We don't have to go to a breath work class. We don't have to go to a yoga class. It doesn't mean you can't. I'm just saying you don't have to overextend yourself to move your body. You don't have to have a certain sequence to move your body. Just move it.
Yeah.
Just take some deep breaths. That doesn't cost you anything. Our body is everything. It's free.
Well, I knew that this conversation would be very intriguing, that it would open doors in ways that, I didn't even know in what ways that the doors were going to be open, because we really haven't had an in-depth conversation about this. And so I wanted to ask you, if someone did want more information on plant medicine, or even the death doula, maybe they want to die to themselves, they're tired of sense, they want to live more in joy, how can people find you?
The best way is your your.brutiful, BRUTIFUL. And that's on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of me. It will also there's also a link attached where you can get on an integration call with me for nothing.
Awesome.
So it doesn't cost you to talk to me. And I say this to everybody. When doing what I'm doing in this world, how can I charge to see yourself? This is my way of serving, is to give back to people. And I don't charge for it. And I come with lifetime support, because I know that through this process of holding space for people, that before long, that story is going to flip. The script is going to flip. And all that's going to come out of it is creation. And before long, we'll be celebrating creating together. And there may be days where we sit in our shit, and that's okay too. But before long, we're going to climb out of it, and we're going to keep creating. And so I look at this Brutiful, which is what I've branded, as a place where you get to be who you are. And I get to give my gifts and my service to people without having to financially worry about what that looks like to hear themselves and hear their story and have somebody hold space for them. The only time that actually there's a cost involved is if somebody chooses to do plant medicine ceremony. There is always a cost there, but I also have scholarship programs within that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for
Thank you, Janae,
coming on today and sharing your medicine. And I wish you well and the best. And
thank you.
I just want to say thank you to our viewers for watching. And this was very enlightening. So,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to say goodbye to everyone as I end today's session. Thank you.